Wow, I like the look of this. Money, money, money. Yeah, it's earning and spending. Here it is up here. What do you like doing? I like spending rather than earning. But you got to earn it before you can spend it. At least when you grow up, it's okay when you're home. Maybe your parents might do some spending for you. But here we go. Let's have a look at earning and spending in the first part of this Maths Applications course here. And let's look around the screen. It's quite an exciting screen. Do you realise that back in, I think, the Babylonian days, before Christ, about 600 BC, they had coins here. And that was the top side, heads and tails, I guess, that sort of thing. And then we went to a more modern coin like that. That's one of the sides. And here's some $2. There's a few there. How much is there? Let's work it out. Hang on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's about 5, 6, maybe $12 in that stack. And then the Chinese, in about 1000 AD, started to look at paper money. They were the first, I think. And now, of course, there's all sorts of different paper notes, different currencies around the world. And, well, here's a couple here. The dollar used in the United States and Australia, and the euro used across Europe. And, of course, there's the yen and so on around Asia. And there's just a couple of them there. So this is what we're going to talk about. How do you get this stuff and how do you spend it? Down the bottom, hey, that's my car there. Red goes faster. And that's about the only one I can afford, sitting on top of a calculator. But how do you work out the cost of a car for insurances and ongoing costs? If you want a little red sports model like that, lovely. But anyway, and then of course, hey, if you haven't earned enough, you might get a credit card. This is bad news, you've got to pay it back, mate. I think it's better to earn it first before you spend it. Credit's not that good, because this is your nasty one here. If you use a credit card, they're going to add a certain percentage on top, and you're going to pay more for everything that you spend. Add that percentage. So I guess you're pretty interested in all this sort of stuff. It's very important every day in our lives. So let's go down and have a look at how do you earn money for a start. Here we are. I want you to look around the screen here. These screen clippings, this particular set, come from the Hayes and Harris Maths Applications book. The Year 11 students. I want you to read the adverts and I want you to tell me what's the same and maybe what's different about these adverts. Okay, here's one up here. Accounting clerk. Permanent full-time accounting clerk with experience wanted for the accounting department. Okay, grape pickers wanted. Good conditions. Genuine inquiries only. Okay. Down here, telephone sales, a potential $1,000 a week, exciting new advertising product for experienced direct sales people. Okay, a different sort of job there. What about this one? Michael Moores College invites applications for following administrative positions to commence immediately. Accounts clerk, full-time contract position, assisting the accountant, demonstrated current experience in the use of computerised accounting systems, and a first aid officer, part-time contract position. 3 days a week, school terms only. And what about over here? Medical receptionist, computer experience, permanent part-time for 15 hours a week. Must be able to work full-time when required. Well. What do you reckon? What's the same? Well, they're all jobs where we're going to earn some money. But what's different? You might pause the presentation, talk about it with other classmates and that. What's the difference between all of these? Okay, let's have a look now. What is the difference? Hey, I'm going to circle it. This is a permanent full-time position. Grape pickers, this is probably casual. You turn up, you do as much as you can, and you get paid for what is done. There's no fixed rate. Casual, sometimes called piecework, where you get paid for how many pieces you produce, how many grapes you pick. Telephone sales, what's that? Well, again, it's probably remunerated, or you get the money on depends on a success rate. Okay, how much you sell, but maybe there might be a retainer. You know, you might get something for being there, but you probably have a potential only of $1,000 a week if you sell enough. Michael Moore College here, full-time contract position. Cool. Here's another one, part-time contract. In other words, only for a certain time, do a certain job probably. And then that's finished. It's a contract position. So gone after a certain time. Here's one over here, permanent part-time with limited hours per week. Okay, so you're always going to have a job, but it's only going to be part-time. So can you see, when you're earning and in a position, the nature of the payment and the position itself can vary quite a lot. Okay. So think about that. There's all sorts of deals that you can do. And with that, of course, if you're not full-time and permanent, you may not get paid for holidays. You may not get any holiday pay at all to take off 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, so let's start thinking about all these types of positions and how we can earn money. So come down here now and let's have a look at earnings. Earnings, okay, what we can earn. They're given different names. Sometimes it depends on the hours worked. So this is usually called wages, or the items produced. How many grapes did you pick? Piecework. Sales achieved. Commission. Okay, if you sell $10,000 worth of gear, maybe computers or something, they might give you 5% commission, a certain percentage. And then you can be on a fixed amount regardless of the amount of time worked. So in other words, if there's more work required to be done, you have to stay there and do it for no extra money. That's a salary. Usually salaries are higher though. And then finally, a fee. For example, doctors, dentists and lawyers, their earnings are fees for how many pieces of work they do. I guess it's similar. Consultation with a GP. Are you feeling ill? Don't want to go to school today, mate. So go along, and the doctor will charge you, what, $30 to $40? He'll write you a certificate to say that you got the flu or something, and that's a fee. So there's lots of different little ways in which people earn money. Okay, and sometimes there will be people in a business doing different things. Some people, the bosses and that, will be on salaries probably. If something goes wrong, they're expected to fix it, not on an hourly rate, but just within their salary package. And then, quite often, the people in the business beneath them will be paid wages. Okay, salary for these executives, supposed to spend the time necessary to get the job done, wages as shop assistant, and may pay a commission to some of its salespeople. Okay, let's have a look at those in detail. And what I want you to do as we go through this presentation is note it down. Okay, note down the various definitions that we're going to have here, because we'll need those for later. Okay, so wages. These are earnings which are based on the amount of time worked. So there's your definition. Wages are earnings which are based on the amount of time worked. Okay, and the wage payment is calculated according to the hours worked multiplied by the hourly rate. We're going to do some problems like this. So if you do 40 hours and you're getting paid $20 an hour, 40 lots of 20, you'll get $800. But then again, you've got to pay taxes and stuff. We'll talk about that later as well. Okay, so you must accurately record the hours that each employee has worked. So that's correct. Okay, so now, write this down. 2 main ways to record hours: using a time book, where you write in the book what time you came, what time you left, and you get one of the bosses to sign it. Or there's a card that you put into a machine and it prints the time when you come in, and you clock it out when you go out. Clock on, clock off. So you put a card in a clock. Okay, let's start looking at how this is working, how we earn money through wages in the real world. It's important in this subject. It's a very interesting subject. Okay, what about overtime? It's exactly what it suggests. You are spending time over and above what is expected. So you have a certain minimum number of hours must be worked each day. Okay, any hours over this time are regarded as overtime and paid at a higher hourly rate. Okay, so the overtime rates, there are usually two of them. You can pay time and a half. What that means is your hourly rate, because you're working extra hours, is 1.5 times the normal rate. So let's say your normal hourly rate is $16 and you've gone over the time that you normally expected to be there. It'll be 16 times 1.5 lots of 16. So it's $24 an hour. 1.5 times 16. Do you get it? We're going to do some problems on this. So note this down, time and a half. There's the next one under the heading overtime. And double time. Okay, this is usually restricted to Sundays, double the normal hourly rate. So if the hourly rate is $16, double it, 2 times 16, $32. So if you go into work on a Sunday, which is not your usual day, then you might get paid twice as much per hour as the normal weekly rate. Okay, so that might be very profitable earnings there. Okay, have you got it? You may build up some notes as we go. Pause the presentation and make sure you've got some good notes there. Okay, let's go down to calculating overtime and general return on the money, or return on in money on the hours that you've worked. Okay, overtime on a daily basis. This is one way they work it out. Okay, under this method, the normal working week is divided into a number of hours per day. Any time worked over these daily hours each day is considered overtime. And any time worked on the weekend is considered overtime, either time and a half or double time. Let's see if you get it. Let's have a look down here. Okay. The Rexco factory works a 37.5-hour week, Monday to Friday, with overtime from Monday to Friday, paid at time and a half. Okay. Saturday is also paid at time and a half, but Sunday is paid at double time. Calculate the weekly pay for an employee who works the following hours. Here's Alex White here. Normal rate $15 an hour. And here are the hours he worked during the week. Let's do that first, because it's usually a Monday to Friday week. So let's do that. Saturday and Sunday are special. Let's leave them for the minute. Okay. So if the normal working week, come back up here, is 37.5 hours, you're expected, here it is, divide by 5, you're expected to be there for 7.5 hours a day. So if you're there more than 7.5 hours a day, on any day, it's overtime. It's gone over the expectation. Okay, let's divide the week up. Monday was 6.5 hours. So there's no overtime there. That's normal. Tuesday was 7.5 hours. That's normal. Wednesday, now, what was Wednesday? Let's go back up here. Oh, Wednesday was 8. So you've got 7.5 ordinary hours, normal hours, and a half hour over on that day, which will be paid at time and a half. Go to Thursday. Thursday, where is it? 8.5 hours. 7.5 is what's expected. You had an extra 1. So that will be at time and a half. Friday was 7.5 normal hours. Okay, so these are the total down the end to check on your time card, when the time book, the hours that you worked on each day. Now Saturday, you came in, it was 5 hours, so that is time and a half. And Sunday you came in, and that was 4 hours, here it is, but that's double time. So check off, yes, you did those hours. You had a total of 47 hours over that week. Let's work out the money. 36 and a half of those hours were at normal rate. 6.5 hours were time and a half. 4 hours were double time. Let's do the calculation down below. Normal pay. 36 and a half times your normal rate is $15 an hour. Comes that. You need to use a calculator for that, mate. 6.5 hours at 1.5 the hourly rate. $15 times 1.5 to get the overtime rate at time and a half. Comes to that. Then you had 4 hours at double pay. Your ordinary pay is $15 an hour. Times it by 2. For those 4 hours on Sunday, you got $30 an hour, $120. So you didn't do badly on that week. That was your pay, but you won't get all that. We'll have to give some to taxation. We'll talk about that later. Okay, do you get it? Okay. What about overtime done in a different way? What about overtime on a weekly basis? This is another way of doing it. Okay, overtime is considered to be the hours worked in excess of the normal hours of a working week, regardless of when they are worked. So they take the total for the week, not day by day. Okay, any time on the weekend may be considered as overtime, either time and a half or double time rates. There's all different sorts of systems now, with shopping being open 7 days a week, for example. Okay, the Tip Tap Bakery works a 37.5 hour week, Monday to Friday. That's usual now. Any hours worked over this are paid as time and a half. So you take the whole week as a whole. Don't do day by day stuff. The first 4 hours worked on a Saturday are time and a half, and the rest of Saturday and Sunday is double time. Because basically you're employed to work Monday to Friday. So anything extra is paid extra. Okay, let's look at there's your week's work. So first of all, we work out Monday to Friday, because that's the usual employment conditions. Okay, you must know your usual conditions. So Monday to Friday is what's expected. Add up all the hours for those days and you get 38.5. So for a start now, 37.5 is just your normal rate. So how many normal hours are there? 37.5. And your normal rate, oh here it is, Alex Donut, is paid $17.50. So it's 37.5 hours times $17.50. Let's add up all the time and a halves. Well, hang on, 38.5 hours is 1 hour over. 1 hour overtime for the week. So that's 1 hour. But hang on, you've worked 5 hours on Saturday. The first 4 hours are time and a half, giving a total of 5 hours at time and a half. So let's multiply $17.50 by 1.5. There's the 1.5 times rate. And then it's 5 lots of that, which is this amount. Then double time. Monday to Friday, no double time. Saturday, you get paid double time if you worked more than 4 hours, and you worked 5. So the last hour of that was top money. Then on Sunday, you had to work again. It was 5 hours, making a total of 6 hours at double time. So $17.50 an hour, that's normal rate, has to be times by 2. Well, that's $35 an hour for those 6 hours. That's really boosted things for you. So if you add up all that breakdown, you get a total down here of nearly $1,000 that week. Not forgetting to take off tax later on. Okay, can you see what we're trying to do? This might be called a breakdown, or you're trying to analyse each hour worked and see where it falls. Is it normal rate, or time and a half, or double time? Are you ready? But I want to let you loose on some problems of your own here. So look at how we set it out, and you can go back and copy that down. You can just rewind the presentation. So here's question 1, 2 and 3. And the answers down below. So as you do a question, toggle forward and look at the answers down below. As you do them. Don't do the whole lot and find you got them all wrong. Do bits at a time and check the answer. 1, 2, 3. Let's look at question 4. Question 4. Do the analysis like we've done in the examples above. Now let's look at the answers to these. There we are, question 1 to 4. Okay, let's go on and do a bit more now. Okay, what about adjustments to wages? What do we mean? We're not talking about tax yet. Well, there are extra bonuses that people get. And when you go on leave, there's what's called an annual leave loading. An extra 17.5% is generally paid while on vacation. And you can, if you're on a salary, that's a fixed amount, not dependent upon the hours you work, you may get that as well. It originally was because when people went on leave, they didn't get the chance of doing extra work, getting any overtime. So it was more a benefit to compensate them for lack of overtime in those weeks when you're on holidays. But now generally everybody gets it. There might be allowances as well. Well, they might give you an allowance because they ask you to buy a particular uniform. Or if you're staying back late and you have to get your meal, they might give you a meal allowance. Or if you're travelling for the job, they might give you a travelling allowance, or if you have to buy special tools. There may be allowances for these things. And then sometimes bonuses are paid as an incentive to reach targets. So, they say, Huddy, you've done well this year, you've sold thousands of dollars of stuff, here, have a bonus. Okay. And then there's also a bonus of shares in the company on the stock exchange. Bonus shares or options in the company. So start to own part of the company yourself. Because the idea is if you own part of the company, you will work harder. You want to see the company do well because the share price will rise and you get increased dividend payments. If a company makes a profit, they may share some of that profit with the shareholders. So that's another little bonus system to encourage people to work for the company, to work hard. So there are some adjustments, extra little things added to your earnings. All right, let's have a look at then leave. You want to take annual leave. There's a number of different types of leave available. For example, everybody is allowed to be away from work paid holiday, 4 weeks every year as usual. Some people, like teachers, have other breaks in between where they do other work in preparation for the next term, but they really are only specified to have 4 weeks annual leave, and the other are for other preparations. Public holidays and are paid at normal rates. 10 such days throughout the year where you don't work, there's usually 10. Okay, if you do work, you usually get overtime rates. But public holidays are where you don't have to go into work. Sick leave, generally you will get 10 full days sick leave on full pay. You're allowed to have 10 days off. If you have more than 1 day at a time, you usually have to have a doctor's certificate. So you can't just take 10 days off and say I was sick. Okay. Long service leave. If you've been there for a number of years, if you've been there after 10 years of continuous employment, you're allowed 13 weeks of long service leave. The idea is to reward you for your dedication over those 10 years. You can have 13 weeks off with full pay. Okay? And it's generally after 10 years you get 13 weeks. Then sometimes it's possible to have leave without pay because you have to go away to help family members or something, but they hold your job open, but it's an unpaid period. They don't make you resign. So if you can't come in, then you're fired. They say, well, okay, we'll hold your job on. We know you've got to do this other stuff for a few months or for a year, and we won't pay you because you won't be here, but we'll hold your job. So that's leave without pay. Employees can retain their jobs after a period away from work. That could be maternity or paternity leave. That is, when you've just got a new baby, the mother or the father, maternity or paternity, will be allowed to take leave without pay. And I think there are awards now where you do get paid, and it always varies, a certain amount to be home with the child. I think it's 3 to 6 months. And that's paid maternity or paternity leave. All different conditions here on your earnings and on your employment. Okay, let's do some calculations. Calculate the total income received for the year by an employee who normally works a 38-hour week and is paid $14.50 an hour. He worked also 25 hours of overtime at time and a half and was paid a meal allowance of $17.50 per week. Because that overtime went through a meal time, couldn't be with his family, and you're going to get an allowance for that. You've got to worry about getting your own food. Annual leave of 4 weeks was taken, and the company paid a $250 Christmas bonus. Our job is to break down all that underlying stuff. Okay, so 48 weeks, each one was 38 hours, so we've got 48 lots of 38, so it's 48 times 38 times $14.50. Got a fair bit out of that for the year. Then there was 25 hours overtime at time and a half, so there's the normal hourly rate times 1.5 lots of it, and then we times it by 25. So that was our overtime. Meal allowance, here we are, 48 weeks, $17.50 a week. That was $840. Annual leave, 4 weeks at 38 hours a week times $14.50 is that, but we've got a leave loading, so it's this times 17.5%, 17.5 over 100. So that 17.5% is $385.70. So the annual leave payment for your 4 weeks off was a good one. It's that. And then there was a Christmas bonus because the company did well, or they were happy with what you did, and so got a bonus. So the total wage then is this amount here. Very good. Okay. Can you do it? I think, again, this analysis, breaking down every little statement, underlining it, is important. Let's have a look at 1A2 here from Hayes, Hayes and Harris. I want you to try and do the same thing here. All right, underlining things. All right, that helps, doesn't it? Okay. All right, pause the presentation, have a go at one, and then scroll forward to check the answer, then come back and do the other two. Now, I'm going to show you the answers now. There are the answers for 1A2. All right, let's go on and just try and finish up in a minute. We're going to do piecework. One of the simplest piecework, I think, would be that grape picking. You get paid as a variation of straight wages for employees. Now this, I haven't explained this term, have I? Employees is the worker. Someone who employs them is called the employer, the owner of the business perhaps, or one of the executive staff who are responsible for your employment. So you're the employee and you're getting paid for what you produce rather than strictly on the hours. Okay. Clothing industry, sending stuff out. So they might work in a factory or send it home and work as outworkers. Or again, grape picking would be an example of piecework as well. Paid by how much you get, how many pieces you collect. Okay, employees in a clothing factory are paid on a piecework basis, rate of 80 cents for each piece, up to 100 items per day. 95 cents for each piece produced, excuse me, over 100 items a day. Okay. So you get paid more and more, you churn out. So, the number you produced on Monday was 95. On Tuesday, 115. On Wednesday, 110. Thursday, 90. Friday, 121. So it's done per day, so let's break it down. The first day you got 95, and that was paid at 80 cents. Anything up to 100. So there's that amount. Now on Tuesday you did very well. The first 100 is at 80 cents. But the next 15, because you went over 100, 15 is at 95 cents. So that was a more profitable day. Wednesday. Here it is, you've gone over 100 again, so you've got to break it into two. 100, up to and including 100 was 80 cents each. You did the extra 10 at 95 cents each. There we have it. Thursday, only did 90, so they're all at 80 cents each, 72. Friday was a big day. You did your 100 at 80 cents each. And then the 21 more, 95 cents, was 99.95. So then you add them all up. And over all the days, that's what you're going to get paid for your piecework. Do you get it? It's good stuff. Let's go down and have a look at another example. Here's a grape picker. Digby the grape picker will be paid $1.50 per bucket of grapes. And his bucket's filling up over here. If he picks 81, 88, 82, 90 and 85 buckets, how much will he earn for the week? So this is not done daily. So you can just add up his total buckets. There it is. Each bucket was $1.50, so he gets $639. Okay. Let's have a go. Let you loose on some problems. Let's have a go at 1A3. Okay, so just bring this down here. Can we get all four on? Yep, we can get those 4 questions on. So again, I want you to underline stuff in the question so that you can work out the various aspects to break it down. All right. Do a problem, scroll forward, check it, then go back and do the others. Let's have a look at the answers now. Oh, sorry, there's question 5. Question 5 down there. And the answers coming up here. Okay, 5 answers. All right, what haven't we done? The last type of earning, which was salaries. Okay, employees on a salary, usually in an executive position, because you're paid regardless of the number of hours worked. So one of the bonuses of that might be that you get a car allowance or something, a car provided with a job. But in return for that, you do not get paid any overtime. If more work is required to be done, you're expected to do it within the salary because you're in the upper part of the company, and that salary will be deemed to be a little bit higher so that you have enough money to warrant you working hard and working longer. Okay. Now, the salaries are normally stated in terms of an annual amount, but you can convert into monthly, fortnightly, weekly or hourly amounts. Okay. For examples here, teachers are paid a salary. If they have to do more marking or have bigger classes or something, then you don't get any more. Managers, some secretaries, etc. Okay, let's have a look at how you do it. So they say your salary is $35,000 a year. That's an annual salary. Sometimes we put PA, per annum. Just remember that, per annum. Annum comes from the Latin meaning per year. That's where the A comes from. So let's convert it to a monthly amount, fortnightly, weekly and hourly, if you're assuming a 38-hour week. Okay, what's the monthly salary? $35,000 divided by 12, that's what you get a month. Fortnightly, how many fortnights in a year? It's 52 weeks, so that's 52 divided by 2. A fortnight is 2 weeks, there's 26 fortnights. Weekly salary, $35,000 divided by 52 is that one, 52 weeks in a year. Hourly salary, well, you've got $35,000, 52 weeks in a year, working 38 hours, you're working about $17.71. Always taking money, do you see here, to the nearest cent, the second decimal place, because it's always taken to the nearest cent. Let's come down now and just note this. This is very important. To convert a monthly salary to a weekly salary, you can't just divide by 4. Okay? Because there aren't exactly 4 weeks in a month. There's a couple of days, isn't there? Over. Because in a year there are 52 weeks and 12 months. So it's just a little bit over 4 weeks in a month, if you like. So how are you going to do it? You multiply the monthly amount by 12 to get the total for a year. So here you are, convert it to a year, and then divide by the number of weeks. Why? Because there are not exactly 4 weeks in a month. February is the only one, isn't it? When it's not a leap year. 28 days, 4 7s are 28. But January has 31 days. Well, divide that by 4, I divide that by 7, sorry. It's 4 7 28, 4 weeks and 3 days. So you must never, when you're converting between months and weeks, use the idea there's 4 weeks in a month. That's only approximate. So you multiply it out to a year's salary and then divide it back, because there's exactly 52 weeks in a year. All right, let's go down and give you a go. Here we go. I think, can we get it on? Yes. There are 5 problems here, and this is again playing with maths, with the numbers now, converting these things. So have a go, and again do one part, and then toggle forward, see if you got it right, and so on. Let's go on now and have a look at the answers. There they are, the 5 answers. And that brings us to the end of these ways of earning money. We're going to look at some other aspects in the next few presentations, but have a look, go back over, make some good notes so that you remember stuff. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed this, and you can see it's powerful and important stuff in everyday life. So for now, it's cheers from me. Catch you in a further presentation.